Yay! So now we're in Module 16, Section 1. We're going to learn about dilations. Let's begin. How does a dilation transform a figure? So in order for you to answer that question, first you have to know the definition of the word dilation, which is right here. It's a transformation that can change the size. You change the size, okay? But leaves the shape unchanged. In other words, you have a circle. It's still going to be a circle, but it's just going to be a bigger circle. If you have a heart, it has to still stay a heart, but a bigger heart, okay? So if you have a heart, but then all of a sudden the heart turned into a circle, this is definitely not a dilation, okay? So that is like the most basic thing. Size changes, shape is the same. So same thing over here. Well, you don't have to really pay attention to that. But anyhow, just importantly, you have to understand what the corresponding sides are, okay? So if you have these two triangles, I want you to understand something. This side over here, side AB, corresponds to what? A prime and B prime. And what does BC correspond to? B prime and C prime. Okay? And what does AC correspond to? A prime and C prime. And this is really important because if you find the measure, you would see that from the pre-image, this is called a pre-image. That means that's the shape before you did anything. And then after you applied the dilation, the new shape that you get, this is called the image. And you learned this in Math 1. So if you compare the lengths, if you were to measure how long AB is 6 centimeters, they tell you, and A prime, B prime is 3 centimeters, what is the relationship? It went from 4 to 2 centimeters, from 3 to 1.5 centimeters. Oh, the ratio is what? 2 to 1. It went from a size 2 to a size 1. You had to divide by 2 to go from here to there, or multiply by 2 to go from there to there. Okay? All right. So now, the ratio of the lengths of corresponding sides in a figure and its dilation is called the scale factor. So what I just told you over here, the 2 to 1, that's called the scale factor. Okay? So yeah, in order for you to figure out the scale factor, you have to type the ratio of corresponding sides. As you can see, AB was 6 centimeters and A prime B prime was 3 centimeters. If you simplify, you can divide the top and bottom by 3. You'll get 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. Same thing, right? So you put that number in. I better type it in. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and you check, they're all correct. Okay, so and then just remember that those three angles measure the same. So when we talk about the dilation, the important thing for you to remember is that the shape is the same, but it either gets smaller in this case or bigger. Okay, and another thing is that the angle measures over here, and the angle measures over here, and the angle measures over here. They all stay the same, but it's just the length. They're different. And I want you to note that the ratio is always the same. It's 2 over 1, 2 over 1, 2 over 1. If one of them is different, let's say this one was like 4.5 centimeters, then all of a sudden the ratio here is 2 over 1, 2 over 1. But over here, what is it? It's 3 over 1. Then this is not a dilation. Okay? So those are some of the key things that you have to remember. Dilating a line segment, you have a center of dilation here, and it pretty much explains to you what's going to happen. But pretty much right here, it shows you. But if you want to go ahead and dilate it by a factor of 3, what you do is you start by connecting the point from O to A, and you see how long this is? You're going to go ahead and connect it by that much longer, like 1 more and 2 more. And then you're going to put A prime. And of course, this is just an approximation because I'm not using a ruler on my computer or anything like that. Same thing over here, connect from O to C, and then however long that is, you're going to go 3 times as long. 1, 2, and 3. So starting from here, right? So then this is going to be C prime, okay? Then you're just going to go ahead and connect those 2 points, and now there you go. This is going to be your dilation by a factor of 3. Okay, A prime, C prime. Then of course you gotta erase all of this stuff because you don't wanna, that is not what you're trying to do. You just want to do, draw a dilation of segment AC, which is pretty much A prime and C prime. I should probably do B as well, but I just didn't. Because as you can see, they show it to you right here. See, you connect the line and you go 1, 2, 3, and you put the point 1, 2, 3. Same thing over here, 1, 2, 3, and you put the point there. Okay, self-explanatory. And yes, in class we're going to do hands-on activity using graph paper because that helps you understand better. Over here, it preserves angle measure. That means the angle stays the same. The angle measure stays the same. Dilation preserves betweenness. That just means the space in between stuff, it should be the same. The ratio is the same. Dilation preserve collinearity. That means the lines. Okay, so maybe this part you're probably not gonna understand. Preserves orientation. That means they're facing the same side. Okay. All right, so just read it and then, but see, the most important thing is you have a question like this on the test. They give you the shape and they ask you, is this a dilation? And of course you know that the answer is no, because the angle measure seems to be the same. Betweenness, like, I don't know, like in between all of this, they look the same, right? Collinearity, it looks the same, right? The line length, the line measure. Preserves orientation is different because look, this one is facing this way, but this looks like a reflection, right? Like there's a line right here in the middle, and if you fold it in the middle, these two would map onto each other, right? So does it face the same way? No. So we know that this is not a dilation. So that's a no. But over here, we know that the answer is a yes. Okay? So is it really important that you know how to do this? No, not really. I mean, yes, but you don't have to understand all the definitions of betweenness and the collinearity and all that stuff. Please watch this video because it helps you a lot, okay? All right, moving on. Your turn question, of course, I had to solve it, but it doesn't show that I did. Obviously, do you think this is a dilation, yes or no? Of course it's a yes, right? Because you see the smaller version and this is obviously the bigger version. So it is a dilation. So as you can see, like these test questions are going to be super easy. Do you see an upcoming A? Can you tell? Obviously they're not the same shape. This one is way taller and this is shorter. The red one is not a miniature version of the blue one. So we already know that this is not a dilation, right? Okay. So then this is the interesting part. When you have a figure and this image after dilation, you can find the center of dilation by drawing lines. Okay, so for example, I already selected the correct answer here. I wish I hadn't, so I could make you figure it out. But it says select the correct drawing. So if you have two triangles like this, how are you going to find the center of dilation? Right? The center of dilation and then the scale factor. Well, all you gotta do is connect the A prime with the A and then you just continue drawing the line straight. Same thing, connect the B prime with the B and continue drawing the line. Connect the C prime with the C, continue drawing the line, and at some point they're all going to meet at point O, and that would be your center of dilation. Okay? So this is exactly the same thing it explains to you, but then look, it now is telling you how long each side is, right? So look, from O all the way to A prime, this is how long? It says this black line is 16 centimeters long, okay? But then what about from O to A? From O to A, this line over here. Well, that one is only 8 centimeters. So then that tells you that the scale factor is what? Yeah, it's either 2 to 1 or 1 to 2, right? Depending on how you read the question. So, or how the question says it. Okay, so it says the answer is 2 to 1 over here, and I got this wrong initially, and I put 1 to 2. But anyhow, this is the important part. It says, in simplest form, the ratio or scale factor of the image to pre-image, okay? So image is what? The image is the answer after you moved it or after you dilated it, okay? And the pre-image is the question or whatever image you had before you made a change to it. Okay? So then, obviously, the answer is the bigger shape, because the answer is always going to have this little prime thing. And then the question is always going to have none of those things. So basically you had a smaller shape and then you had to make it bigger up here. And so the question says the scale factor of the image to the pre-image. So then you have to put the number of the bigger one first, because this is the image, and you know this because of the primes, the B prime, the C prime, and the A prime. And you know that this is the pre-image, the question, because it doesn't have any prime, it's just A, B, and C, right? So that's why you're going to put the 2 first, and so it's 2, 2, 1. This is a very important thing, because obviously you know on your test, I'm going to give you 4 options, and one is going to look like this, and of course the second one is going to look like 1 to 2. And then, I mean, option A, option B, option C. Then you know that the third one is going to be something stupid, like 1, 2, 3, and D would be something like 3, 2, 1. I do that because I know that sometimes you guys get confused, and I want to make sure that you are very clear in your understanding. And I think, yes, that's it for today for the video. It was a very nice short video. So over here, look at the question. It says determine the center of dilation and the scale factor. So O is the center of dilation, because you connected the A with the A prime and it kept on going. Same thing with the C and the C prime, B and the B prime, and it went here. And then they give you the length from O to A prime. So this is 5, and O to A, this long thing, is 15. So we know that the ratio is either 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1, but which way is which? The center of dilation is obviously O, okay? And then the scale factor of the dilation, okay? So then, as you can see, the pre-image is that one, right? So this is the pre-image, because it just has A, B, C, and there's no prime in it. So that means that was the original question. And after you changed it, it became this, because you can tell because it has B prime, A prime, and C prime. So that's the answer after you changed it. So then obviously the ratio is going from big to small. So then what is the scale factor? The big one shrunk. So obviously it's going to be 1 over 3. If you went from the small one to the big one, then obviously you're multiplying by 3. But if you went from the big one to the small one, then obviously it's just 1 over 3, right? So let me go ahead and select the answer, O, and then over here I put 1 over 3, okay? And I check my answer, and of course it's going to be right. So please remember that you have to differentiate between the two. If you don't see any prime over here, you know that this is the pre-image. That means the first image before you made any changes to it. And if you see the A prime, B prime, and C prime, that is the image. That means the image that you get after you made the necessary changes. Okay, that's it for today. I hope to see you tomorrow, and let's have fun in class using graph paper and whatnot. Happy learning!